All right, I'm really charged now to be talking with two state champion coaches, Catherine Batchelder of Newburyport High School girls lacrosse, and John Pynchon, the boys lacrosse coach. Well, of course, at St. John's Prep, Division I champions and Division III champions in the girls action. Coaches, thank you so much for joining us. It's great to meet you in person. Although, John, I did see you at the Moynihan Student Lumber Award luncheon, and that was great. Catherine, let me start with you because state champions are not new to Newburyport High School, as they are certainly not new to St. John's Prep. But your program has been so successful over the years, and I want to talk to you both about the longevity of your successes. What was special about this year's team, Catherine? Because we talked a lot over the year. You had some challenges. What was special about this particular group of kids?
I think this group of kids was special because they've been together for a really long time, and we had a pretty untimely departure last year from the state tournament, and that really stuck with them and kind of motivated us through the year. And that was something that we talked a lot about, missed opportunities and things like that. So I think this group, they knew that this was their last year really together as seniors, juniors, and sophomores. Not just the seniors. And I think they all really bought into wanting to, do something special together.
John, same question. Why is that so loud? What is so special about this year's group?
I think that they've been together since that COVID year. As freshmen, they missed their freshman season, and then they came in as sophomores. And of the 14 of them, 10 of them were on kind of our combined varsity rosters as sophomores. So they've been with us for this whole journey here. And they, played a very small role as sophomores, but a very important role in the background. And then most of them kind of matriculated to play more of a role last year, but they still weren't like the main guys. And then this year, most of them all, they just stepped up and really embraced their roles. Very different roles for all of them, but I couldn't be prouder of how each of them contributed in their own unique way to the team's success over the last 3 years.
If you could pick a game out for an ESPN highlight film to be shown over and over again, is there a particular game this year or any other year for that matter that kind of sticks in your head? Because it's weird when I ask coaches this question, it's hard for them to come up with it, especially with so many wins, but they can almost always point out a loss that they had that jumps out at them. So I want to take that other tack. What a special game for each of you, and John, we'll start with you.
I think the easy one is the state championship this year, just with the narrative playing the same team for the third time, not just the third time in a season, but the third time in a state championship, a team that had beaten us a month and a half earlier, pretty handily. And then just the game script and how the game went, and them taking a big lead and going into the fourth. So it was just I was talking to our athletic director a little while ago, and I said everything that could have gone right went right for us in the fourth quarter. Our guys made the right plays. They were in the position to make the right plays. Kind of, they just did everything that you could ask. So I guess that would be my one to make a movie about.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything quite as dramatic. Sounds like, St. John's really stepped up in that final game to come from behind and win the game against a tough competitor. For me, I think, we had a couple of tough losses, but I don't really want to harp on those. For me, I think it was our Foxborough game in the Final Four. We were, we'd been coming in and had been winning pretty easily in some of the early playoff games. And we hit kind of that first piece of adversity, which really mattered. In the other games, we always knew there was another day, there was tomorrow. And the girls responded really well against like a different kind of physicality and a different style of play. And we'd been talking all season, we only have 2 timeouts in the whole game. So it's a lot of adjusting on the fly. You have halftime and then 2 timeouts, and that's kind of it. And they really made those adjustments on their own. And so I think I saw a different maturity from my team in that game to make some changes that needed to be made, step up and, secure that victory, which I think helped us in the championship game.
I'm sort of a latecomer to understanding lacrosse, but the popularity of lacrosse right now across the North Shore and the success that the high schools have had, I think is pretty amazing. We had so many schools representing so many different divisions through the state tournament. And I wonder if each of you could speak to that, to the level of competition on the North Shore. I know you're in different divisions, but you coach different kids and you have clinics all throughout the year. So maybe, Catherine, you could tell me a little bit about your view as to the talent and the competitiveness and maybe the involvement of schools and coaches with respect to lacrosse.
Yeah, I think it's just continued to grow on the North Shore. I mean, there's a lot of, there's a lot of town play, which it keeps increasing, and then club play, which just, keeps getting sticks in kids' hands for longer throughout the year, which just leads to stronger players. For us, we're in a little bit different situation than St. John's. Being in the Cape Ann League, it's a lot smaller, but every single one of our Cape Ann schools made the Division 3 or 4 tournament this year, which was pretty incredible to have the entire, all of the schools a chance to get some playoff wins. So I think that, the dedication of the coaches has been amazing. We've seen the talent just keep increasing. And I think a lot of that goes to, the youth programs, and then also the dedicated parents that, drive their kids all over the place for club all summer. And I think that really does make a difference.
John, do you see that too? You've taught public, you've coached in public schools, you coach at the prep now, and the level just seems to be getting better and better, and more kids involved.
Yeah. I've been part of I guess I've lived on the North Shore my whole life, besides when I was out in college and coaching. But, when I first got into lacrosse, there wasn't any town play yet. I was lucky to have parents who played, so that's how I got a stick in my hands. And now I look at just the strength of the communities around here. Marblehead, their boys team having an outstanding season. The youth programs in these towns are so strong. You have parents who are generationally connected to the game now, so that they get a stick in their kid's hand, and then they're involved in the youth program, coaching them. And I think it's just been, lacrosse is an amazing sport. It's something which, a kid gets into and they seem to fall in love with it quickly, with the pace and the excitement of it. And there's just more opportunities for them to play on the North Shore. And I think our town communities are really connected, and they support the athletic programs really well. So it's great seeing the success of these lacrosse teams. I know on the boys' side, our recent success was, I don't want to say built on, but I came up in the system when Beverly was outstanding. Peter Ginolfi had really built a powerhouse at Beverly, and they were kind of the North Shore powerhouse for lacrosse. So I think about that tradition, frequently, and I hope that we can carry that on, because I think traditionally people always talk about the South Shores as the lacrosse powerhouse. So it's great whenever teams from north of Boston can win state championships.
You each have to draw from a different gene pool, and we'll start back with St. John's Prep. Coach, you get solid super athletes from different communities who want to be part of the recognition of playing in a Division I school, and so they're pretty much talented. The discipline that the school and the coaches require gets them, on the straight and narrow, and they're able to concentrate. But it brings its own source of challenges, I would expect, for that very reason. You're getting kids from so many different communities, or at least a lot of different communities, who are used to being at the top, and then they have to come together as one at your school. So how do you balance all that and have the continued success that you had, not only at Beverly, but now also at the prep? Because and we're going to go to Newburyport too, because it's a challenge in a different way. You know what I'm trying to say here? They come from all different places, and then, okay, now they have to be loyal to the prep.
Yeah. I think, we have a lot of advantages. So this is certainly me I'm not crying poor here with our disadvantages, but it is a unique challenge, and it's something I didn't fully understand. I had an idea of it having attended St. John's, but then coaching in Beverly and seeing them, I had an idea of that, challenge of building a culture and a climate. But I didn't fully understand it until I arrived here, and understood the unique communities that we draw from. These kids play against each other in many sports. They all come here and then they kind of have to be resorted and they have to figure out new roles. And we spend a lot of time in our team talking about what kids' roles are. And oftentimes we're dealing with kids who were the best or some of the best players in their town team, and they're not the best on our team. And so they have to readjust. And that is it's a challenge for us as coaches to set clear expectations. It can also be a challenge for the families to understand that their son isn't playing as much, that he's playing a part in a greater whole. And then, I think from a community standpoint, it's the time together. One of the things that I definitely miss about my time at Beverly was that time together that those kids spend with each other. And that is coming up from the youth program, but then also in the summers and on the weekends and stuff, they're together all the time. Like they're just because of the community. And so we don't have that. So we try and work through different ways to address it. But it's some years we get it right. And my first 2 years, we did not get it right. And we struggled. We didn't make the playoffs. So the years we get it right, I think it translates well to our success on the field.
Catherine, and you're into things. I think I was talking to Allison Tivnan over at Ipswich, and she works with kids all year round. And she teaches or she's a counselor at a middle school. And in your case, in hers as well, you have a much smaller group from which to nourish or to bring into the program. How have you managed to have so much success for so long? I know there's no secret to it, but you have technique and style, and there's got to be a way where, as John was saying, the kids work together at a certain level. So do you really have to kind of get to them early to keep this thing going?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I was first moved to town and my kids were really young, I was very involved in youth, across the board, kind of, every single practice, every single team, just to, everything was really new. The high school program was young, the youth program was young. And the first group of girls that came up that kind of, wanted to be lacrosse players, they really built the foundation. And, I was pretty tough on them, and I was pretty tough on expectations. And that's just grown throughout the years. And I really put that on, the girls that have come before, that are now, professionals and married and have their own kids. It's amazing. But they really set the foundation. And then it's just built each year. I lose kids to prep schools. I mean, that's just the nature of the beast. My own kids. And it's just, we always kind of say you get what you get in Newburyport, but we've been really lucky that, the girls that have fallen in love with lacrosse at a young age, like Coach was talking about, when they get that stick in their hand, and they have wanted to play at Newburyport, and that togetherness that Coach was talking about is real. You can see each year, this year, other years, even years when we haven't made the playoffs way back, the kids are just really close. I think that there's something about being in your community and playing for your high school and playing in front of your friends and your parents' friends and, people you just met is something really special. And I think Newburyport's been lucky, not just in lacrosse, in a lot of sports, to have, really dedicated families that allow for success at the high school.
I think I have a couple of more quick questions here. And John, if you were to speak at a school in a community promoting sports, promoting St. John's Prep sports, what would you tell the kids? Let's say at a middle school, or this is all hypothetical, but what would you tell the kids about St. John's Prep, about lacrosse, about sports in general?
I guess for a middle school student, well, I'll share this. This is a story when I was coming up through here 25 years ago. Jim O'Leary, who was the former AD, a family asked him, why should I send my son to St. John's? And he said, from an athletic standpoint, we're going to play the best teams in the state every single year, ideally in every sport. And I think for me, even when I was at Beverly, I thought we had a great program. Beverly High School is an amazing community, an amazing place, and I really enjoyed working there. But we weren't able to compete at the level that we're able to compete at here. So I think that is, to me, kind of I will say, like, the unique thing is that we're going to play the best teams every single season. It doesn't mean we're always going to have success, but we are going to go out, and if there's a team available that has an opening on their schedule, we will schedule them. And that could mean we lose, and that can be a great thing. But just that ability to play the absolute best year in and year out, I think for me as a coach is special. So I think that, and for a middle school kid, that might not mean anything, I guess. But that resonated with me when I heard that when I was a lot younger, was that you're going to go out and play the best.
Oh yeah, I think it does. Catherine, what do you tell the younger kids?
I think when I'm working with the younger kids and they want to come up, to Newburyport, we just talk about the tradition of our program, and the unique closeness that the teams have had. I think that part of what's really special about, our school and our community is that, we're a pretty small town. And I know that's not unique. Marblehead has it, Ipswich has it. But there is definitely something in this town that, half the girls on my team, I had over play dates when they were, in preschool with my own kids. So you really get to know people. But I think that for when kids are deciding to either come to Newburyport or go to prep school, there's benefits to both. And I think the idea of staying home and playing in front of fans and playing in front of, your family and your community is something that is, it's really special.
I think finally, as a teacher, every now and then teaching math, I'd see a kid do something I'd never seen before, and I learned something from it, and it was just astounding to me, especially in some of the upper level courses. Like, how do you know that? And then I would be able to understand that kids, process in different ways. But how do you keep up with changes? Because you're coaching all the time, you're always doing something. But in sports, there's always something new coming along, and with the MIAA, who knows what rule changes there are and things like that. But it's a continuum. You're teaching, the kids are learning, but at the same time, I think as adults, we continue to process and maybe incorporate stuff. So how do you do that? Who do you do you coaches go to clinics? Do you draw from other people? How does that work, John?
Yeah, I think it's twofold. I think it's a love of the game, from a lacrosse standpoint, being involved in it, watching college level lacrosse, talking with college coaches, going to just being around the game as much as possible. And then from a coaching standpoint, I think this is kind of the older I've gotten, the more I've really fallen in love in the art of coaching. And so being able to attend clinics and listen to other coaches. I've learned maybe more about coaching from non-lacrosse coaches, other coaches who coach other sports, than from lacrosse coaches specifically about the art of coaching and, developing athletes and practice planning and all sorts of things like that. So I think most high school coaches have a passion for doing this. And so I think, like, I always find that just talking with other high school coaches and talking with other coaches is really rewarding, and it can become a source of inspiration for me as I get ready for the next season.
I know you have a passion for it too, Coach Batchelder. So is it a similar thing where you're able to talk to other coaches, or they pick your brain?
Yeah, I think, this sport is evolving all the time, especially on the women's side. A lot of different rule changes, a lot of proposed new rule changes coming. So I think you're always learning, and the sport is always moving forward. There's a ton of educational things within our game, but I think that, yeah, at the basic level, talking with other coaches getting, sharing ideas, sharing things about your teams. But I think, yeah, I mean, I don't think either of us would still be doing it if we didn't love this game so much. And that's what really drives you forward is, the relationships that you make in this game. I've met some of my best friends through this game, and just want to keep continuing to, provide opportunities for young girls to do the same thing and, hopefully meet some of their best friends through this game and continue the love and passion for it.
All right, this is the last question or the last thing I want to mention. What does this state championship mean? I mean, state champion. I don't care what division it is, state champion. Catherine?
Relief. Been a lot of when the MIA gave me the trophy, he said, well, you're not a bridesmaid anymore. And that wasn't quite true because I did have one before, but it's been a while. So a little bit of relief. I think that, this team, we knew that this was, a really special group and that they had a chance to do something special. So, getting to the end and being able to hold up that trophy was, it definitely felt good for, all the early mornings and freezing cold practices and rain and sleet and snow and all the other fun things we get during the spring here in New England.
I know, Coach Pynchon, in March, it looks like there's so many challenges and then all of a sudden it's over. State champion. What's it mean?
I think relief is a great feeling, because it's just so much, just packing it all in that 90 days this year of our season. And then, to be able to win the final game of your season is really special and it's really unique. And so I just think about like joy and happiness that we had the experience and all that work that we put in and that we're able to recognize it. And then I guess at some point it starts like creeping back in, and I don't know when that'll happen, maybe in another week or two, that I'll start thinking about the next season. But yeah, and that I will say that's the biggest difference is that when I would lose and our season would be over, I would immediately, like the next day, turn the page and be ready to go and start thinking and just like with a sour taste in my mouth. Winning a state championship, you have that afterglow for a little while longer, which I think is really special and fun.